With so much excitement surrounding Bitcoin and other altcoins, many people are wondering right now what is happening with Chainlink. It seems to have gone quiet here more recently. Is that a good sign? Is that a bad sign? In today's video, we're going to be talking about Chainlink in depth and what you should be expecting in the future. But before we go too far into what you should predict, some of you will remember a video I shot 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, the price action was sitting back here. It was around the middle of February, and I told you guys to look out for a move down to about 1750, give or take, and then a rally up to 2150. And I used the Lux Algo indicators to talk about those movements heavily. Well, guess what happened after my video? We ended up calling it almost perfectly. The price of Chainlink would go ahead and shoot down, hitting about 1759. So not quite 1750, but I told everyone to look for that range. Ultimately, it came back to retest the former resistance level and turn it into support. And then I said again, look for rallies up to around 2150. Guess where we ended up peaking out right at my perfect level at 2172. So it actually went a little bit higher than that 2150. But I want to bring that to your attention. Why? Because not only did we see this coming with Lux Algo, but we can continue to use Lux Algo to predict what the future is going to look like. Now, I told you guys in the video there really hadn't been a lot of excitement necessarily. That's not really true. It's just not the excitement you guys want to see. Notice after we touched this 2170, we ended up actually, with all the chaos that happened yesterday, dropping 22% since that more recent Chainlink high. However, now that we are back up above $19 and we're hovering, what is the future of Chainlink's price action looking like? This is a coin that we have been very hot on here on the Investing Bros channel. We're predicting this could be not only the #1 moving coin in the future bull market because of its institutional pull, but possibly a coin that could raise all the way up to #3 behind Bitcoin and Ethereum. Well, I'm not going to go too much into the future predicting long-term price action. I am going to spend some time here on the 4-hour chart, taking a look at what could be happening in the next week with one of your guys' favorite altcoins, that being Chainlink. Let's turn on those Lux Algo signals once again. And I want to point out what I have turned on right now in the settings. If you guys use Lux Algo, or if you're wanting to use Lux Algo, there's so many fantastic things you can use here. And I have a special setting turned on today in signal mode. Normally, the default segment is confirmation. If I were to put on confirmation, you guys will see it'll change where I see different things. In fact, more recently, while the bearish calls hadn't been the very best, the bearish call confirmation ended up being pretty good. But when I turn on Contrarian's going to go ahead and try to be more aggressive in calling tops and bottoms. And more often than not, you have one side that does a very good job and you have one side that does a very bad job. More recently, you guys can see the bearish calls had been pretty lethal, calling almost every single top of Chainlink. Well, here more recently, the last 2 calls, it's been the bullish signals that have actually done pretty well. The bearish signals have not. So for right now, anytime you see a bullish flash, you want to be aware of that. We did have a nice one come into play right here during this drop, but it looks like we have potentially hit our take profit here on the 4-hour chart. So this is something you're starting to look for. Hey, could we make a move to the downside? I will say keep an eye on our smart trail concept right here. We have not come up and touched that. There still is a chance we make a good push to come up and touch that smart trail. But when I'm looking at this chart right here on the 4-hour chart, I would not be surprised to see a little bit of a cool off. Yes, the MACD started to look a little bullish. Yes, our oscillator started to move to the upside, but check out what just happened. Our RSI just rejected right around the middle line. That's not something you want to see. The money flow, despite the fact that the oscillator is going up, the money flow has crossed below the bullish threshold and is starting to head back down. And we do not really have any strong bullish or bearish momentum at the moment, which means to better decide what we think could happen, we do have to take a look at the hourly chart. Let's take a look at the hourly chart, which would tell us probably what's going to happen over the next 24 hours or so, whereas the 4-hour is still saying there's room for upside. Hourly chart is telling probably a little bit of a different story. Let's go through everything. Again, our oscillator RSI rejecting right around the middle line. That is a very bearish sign at the moment. Also, when we pull up the MACD looks to be crossing. Even though it has not crossed, it looks to be going back bearish on the hourly chart, looking to move back down to the downside after a big movement from rejecting down at really low levels and coming back up. It looks like it's going to be curving to the downside once again. And then that brings us to the Lux-Algo oscillator, which is starting to do some very bearish things. You guys know when you have a red rejection, a reversal dot, mixed with bearish divergence, and the money flow starts to go negative, which is what it does look like it's doing here on the hourly chart. These are the signs that negative price actions should be coming. But where will they come? Well, here on the hourly chart, I'm going to keep my eyes on a couple different levels. Of course, our stop loss is going to be coming in here on 1870. The real bearishness could be a revisit back down below $18, back to the green support band. But let's see what our order blocks are telling us here on the hourly chart. We actually have a pretty big order block coming in support of that level of $17. And at the lowest end, we're talking about $17.80. Higher end, we're talking about $17.97. Either way, that's one to keep an eye on the bearish side. You can see here on the hourly chart, we did actually reject on our smart trail concept. While we do have order blocks sitting above us, keep an eye on potentially downward moves. With the 4-hour chart looking vulnerable, meaning it's not really confirming one way or the other, the hourly chart looking actually pretty confident in saying we should move to the downside. Look for potentially a move back down in the next couple of days, back to the below $18 level, $17.80, $17.90, somewhere in that range, before a push back up to the upside, up to $20 or even higher. This is where we have to actually go back into our longer time frames. I told you guys we have these different things above us that should work as resistance, but I want to bring your attention as we pull out to the 4-hour chart. Even if we pull back first, setting up what would look like the bears are in control, we could find ourselves in a little bit of a bear trap. I'm going to show you a chart that I used actually 2 weeks ago to explain this as well. But look where our red reversal indicator actually sitting. It's coming into this longer term zone that we have been talking about for a while. I called looking for the bottom of it, 2170 here a little bit, 2150, give or take. Now I'm going to look for a potential short squeeze opportunity to get closer to the top range above $23 to $23.60. Why am I saying that? Well, not only do we have the red reversal band going in that direction, if I come out again, as I showed you guys, these 4-hour chimes, the 4-hour chart, even though it's showing us signs that we could be heading back down, we're also seeing signs that after a small correction, we could see a nice short squeeze to the upside, and that is confirmed by High Block Capital. This is a liquidations chart that is doing almost exactly what I told you guys it would do. We had our short squeeze to fill up $21, and now after filling and taking out some longs all the way down below 19, look where all the heavy liquidity is sitting here in the next 7 days. It is not sitting below us. It looks like we've cleared everything. The actual liquidity is coming up above $21, even as high as up to $22.50. And as you guys know, more often than not, we don't usually just get to these yellow lines. We usually take out the bulk of them. I'm looking for a move all the way up potentially as high as $23 if a short squeeze begins to take effect. Remember, Chainlink has been lagging. Bitcoin has been going nuts right now. Ethereum is going nuts as we are speaking. Other altcoins like Cardano, HBAR, Optimism, they've been having some great days. Chainlink has been a little boring. So some people are going to use that as evidence to say, oh, well, maybe just stay away from Chainlink. But I think that would be a massive mistake. Chainlink is still primed to be one of the most exciting altcoins. And the fact that it has recently dipped 22% in a short amount of time, the fact that it hasn't been moving recently, does lead me to believe when I'm seeing the charts, when I'm looking at the liquidations, a short squeeze opportunity potentially from sub $18 levels all the way up to 23 are very, very much in play. Thank you to Lux-Algo for showing us all those levels. If you are looking to purchase Lux-Algo, get it with a link down below. Again, you'll make your money back very, very quickly. And if you don't like it after 1 month, you have 30 days to get your money back. No problem whatsoever. Sign up down below. Also, smash that like button on your way out and hit subscribe if you found this video very helpful. And let me know some of your other altcoins that you want to see some dedicated videos on to update you on what the charts are saying about the price action. With that said, though, I'll see you guys today at 3 p.m. Adios.